and through your teams. Hopefully it's going to work. And recording is up.
Did you get sunburn on the weekend, by the way?
Yeah, I did.
I'll focus on allowing them in. You focus on the session.
All right, cool. You've got access to that?
Yeah.
All right. Again, so thank you for everyone for dialing in tonight. On the call with me as well is Gary Kavanagh, the competitions manager for the CCCA. So as we go along, as mentioned in the beginning, or with all the requests that went through, this is actually a little bit interactive. So I'm actually encouraging people to jump up and either put their hand up as it's an option within Teams, or just yell out and say, "Hey, I've got a question," because you'll find a lot of the questions that you'll ask are probably something that a lot of people else have also had problems with, and that's the interactive part that I want to try to get through those myths of challenges that people have with both PlayHQ and at eScoring itself. I should probably introduce myself as well. For those who don't know me, David Winiata is my name. I'm the cricket manager from the Central Coast itself, working under Cricket New South Wales, but also the administrator for the CCCA as well. So, all right, so as mentioned, jump in if you've got questions. We'll answer them on the fly as we go along, and hopefully I can answer them all. Some of them I may not know. If you get really sticky questions you've had, one big thing I've kind of pre-learnt my own way through this system. So even I haven't had any training other than what you're about to receive now. So yeah. So as I said, jump in if you've got questions as we go.
Dave, can I just interrupt and ask and pass a comment?
Yeah, mate, go for it.
All right. So just before we move forward, I just want to give a very quick explanation about PlayHQ and the current of what PlayHQ is in New South Wales and Cricket Australia. So Cricket New South Wales made a decision to become a pilot group on behalf of Cricket Australia for PlayHQ. So what that means is PlayHQ has gone live, but it's gone live with known defects. And what that means is we're going to have problems with PlayHQ right throughout the season as we move forward. And those that have seen my email late this afternoon, perfect example is PlayHQ and My Cricket have stopped synchronisation of the draws, and draws have just gone to mayhem on My Cricket. So we need everybody to make sure they use PlayHQ at the moment for draw management and for making sure their teams know where they are. So we get it, we understand it, we know there are problems, we know that problems are being called out. That's the whole idea of a pilot group. If anybody that works in a big organisation as part of their work would understand what pilots mean. So it's frustrating, we understand it, but that's exactly what this system is designed to do at the moment. And we're here to iron out the issues and make it as best as it can be when it goes 100% live for next season.
Beautiful. Thanks, Cav. And you're 100% on the money there as well. So we've taken a lot of pain, but hopefully to make it easier for everyone next year when it goes live across the whole of the country. So, all right, let's kick it off. So a couple of little things I want to go through in regards to the eScoring / PlayHQ type stuff and stuff that you may or may not know, but we'll cover it as we go through. So when we talk about the eScoring product itself, it's an actual web-based product. It's actually not an app. So it's not an actual physical app. It's actually something you would type into Google or type into Safari and actually then gain access to the eScoring platform. The actual eScoring platform itself is a separate third-party platform that then communicates with PlayHQ itself. Okay, so it may be branded with PlayHQ and so on, the eScoring platform, but it's ultimately set up outside of PlayHQ itself, and it communicates the information in which you do when you live score back into PlayHQ, which PlayHQ ultimately is a registration and fixtures program itself. Okay, so the eScoring options are available on a smartphone, so you can use your actual iPhone to do it. You can use a tablet, and we'll talk about tablets a bit later on, And you can also use a computer, so like a laptop or something like that, but again, via an internet browser. And then, as it mentions there, using Microsoft Edge or Safari or Google, you can use as you go along as well. And you'll also know, for those who have already started to use it, you can actually even use it offline. So you use internet to get onto it, but potentially if internet drops out, you actually you can continue scoring and without any interruption to the scoring itself. Results pointed to My Cricket app. So ultimately, what's happening there is PlayHQ, as Cav had mentioned at the beginning, holds all the data and so on, and then sends that through to the My Cricket app, and that's where all the stats, or well, not really stats, but that's where the results and your live scoring then ends up being. So to understand what that means as well, I know we're trying to get rid of My Cricket, but the My Cricket app is actually owned by Cricket Australia. And that app itself, to my knowledge, will continue to be used going forward. It's just trying to iron out the connection between PlayHQ and the app to get that information through correctly as we go along. But also you find, and I kind of jumped over statistics as well, a lot of people have seen that statistics are not flowing through. Even in my own app on my phone, some are flowing through, some are not. That's a massive work in progress. They're hoping by the end of the season you'll have a lot more stats rolling through, but really we're again in that pilot phase of trying to get that right in the background, looking at next season to have it correct with all the stats rolling through correctly. All right, and then we then start to talk about then the access points, and this has been probably the biggest confusion across all of clubs and club members. So 3 different areas in which I suppose parts of scoring / entering results sits. So you got the admin site. Now the admin site is where actual club members, so the admins of your club, will actually have access into the back end and be able to then update results. We'll be able to download who reports on your club and who's registered, contact details, all that kind of stuff. That's what they got access to. Also give access to other people as well. We also have playhq.com. I'm going to show you that right now. Actually, I'll come back to that one actually. So playhq.com is where most of the people that are on this call right here are going to use. So that's where coaches and captains go to select their teams and also enter in results manually for a game that's occurred. And then, as I mentioned, you then have the e-scoring portal, which is a separate third-party portal to the PlayHQ itself, and that's where we actually get to live score. All right. And again, 3 different websites that you would go through to gain access. The main 2 that all of us on the call will be looking at would be playhq.com, which is the portal where we select our teams and can put results in, and also CA Score, ca.score.playhq.com, which is the e-scoring portal. All right, they're the 2 main websites that we make sure that we've got to save as favorites in your phone, on your laptop, or on your tablet, whatever way that you use to gain access to the system.
So Dave, on a Saturday when a game's on,
yep,
I rock up at a ground, I want a live score. Which side am I going to?
You're going to the CA Score. So at the top of the screen, you'll find www.ca.score.playhq.com. That's for e-scoring. That's when you want to score on the day.
Thanks, mate.
There's a typo there. I just realized a typo there. All right. So we're just going to go through a couple of steps that are involved that you would need to get access to ultimately the system itself, and I'll also show live what that looks like and what you can play with. So step 1, coach and/or team manager registers via the online registration link as per a player to gain access to PlayHQ participation portal. So that's for those that either a coach, and majority of our coaches have already done this, and that was part of the first lot of training we did for juniors, but also captains are already registered as a player within your club, but ultimately making sure that you're registered in the PlayHQ itself, and that means then you can gain access into the system itself. Step 2 is then the club admin. So going back to an admin within your club will provide you with access into either managing your team, and I'll show that in a tick, but also providing access, as step 3 shows, into actually electronically scoring as well. So there's a couple of steps for the admins that they need to do to make sure they give you access. And then step 4, coach or manager will then be able to log into e-scoring once that access has been provided. You can also then manage your team as you go along. All right, so first point, gaining access into PlayHQ itself. So this is the participant portal. So I'll just quickly skip over this one. This is purely just a register, which again, most of you are either a player or a coach already or a team manager. This is how you register to be able to gain access. Once you gain access, the admin in the back end will actually then provide you with management access into each team that you would be coaching. So they actually allocate you as a coach, as if this person would be here. Then they give you management access to be able to then gain access into that team itself. What does that look like? So if I bring this page in here, as I mentioned, this is the participant portal. So playhq.com, okay? You would log in with your normal login details in which you use that you registered within PlayHQ. So these are my login details that I use to log into PlayHQ that I registered myself as a coach. When you log in, this is the front page. Now there's two things that can go on this front page, okay? First thing is, for those who ever want to look up the actual draws of Central Coast Cricket, you could literally type in Central Coast Cricket, get started. There's Central Coast Cricket there. You can click on Central Coast Cricket and then you can actually look at the draws itself. And this was what Cav mentioned at the beginning, is that the draws at the moment are all over the shop. So this is the source of truth. This is where you need to go to make sure your fixtures are correct. So let's say I'm in a senior grade, I'm playing men's 8th grade, and now I'm straight to round 6, which is the next round of cricket. Actually, is that the next round? Yes, it is. Round 6, and that shows me all the games that have been played on within round 6. Okay. So that's the home page. That tells you where you want to go. You can also look up other areas as well. If you want to follow rep cricket, you can follow the association or club that you're looking at as well within that space. The second part, as I mentioned to you about managing, is within my actual login itself. So as long as I've been given management access to a team, this is what it would look like. So as you can see in the top right-hand corner, my name is listed. You click on my name and then click on my account. This brings up the teams that I'm actually allocated to as a manager or a coach or whatever it be, okay? So I can then click on the team that I am a coach for, and this brings up all of the games in which that team that I'm managing are playing in, okay? I can then look at the next round, which is coming up, round 6. So Lisero versus Kincumber Blime. I can click onto that. And you'll see at the top a little yellow area. You've got the public view, which is what PlayHQ shows. You also then got the manager view. So if you manage the actual game itself, this is where you get to enter your team, but also change things on the scorecard itself. All right. So I'm going to enter my team into the Lisero team itself. So I would then click on select team. This brings up all the team members that are allocated to that team itself. So I can then plus them into, as you see, they move across into the right-hand side, plus them into the team. Way through. All right, so now I have all those team members allocated into that team itself. I can then also add edit captains. And I can choose my captain out of any of these guys, which I will choose Nick Snelson as the captain. And I save captains. All right, so that's been allocated as a captain. If for some unknown reason, one of the players are not listed on the left-hand side to come and play in that team, you can actually select a non-team player down the bottom. So by clicking on that, you put their name in. I'll put my son's name in to show that it comes up. I press search, and then all of a sudden that person comes up. You can add them into the team manually. All right. So once you've added all the players in, press next. Obviously the coach is there, which I am there. I can press next, and then I can save that. That's now listed as the team allocated into that team itself. So that's the lineup side of things. So that the game goes ahead, unfortunately you weren't able to live score. Or you were able to live score and you had some errors you need to fix up. Where you go to that is the same spot. So again, log into the same area.
Can I jump in for 2 seconds there, David?
Go for it.
I know it's saying Emily, but it's Paul. It's just my daughter's login.
Nah, all good.
So I've done exactly what you've done there.
Great.
But it's come up to me and said the game has then started.
Okay,
And
so the game has started.
It has started the game, even though I've done it on a Thursday night through that exact login and exactly the way you've done it there.
So you haven't gone through the eScore login?
No, definitely not. No, because I then went on the Saturday. I've gone to the other team. Sorry, something's happened here, and I've said I'll go through that exact way to score it. I've opened it up, gone to that exact place, and they've gone, well, that's not going to work because that's not the e-scoring. You've gone to the admin, the manage
piece, which we're doing through right now.
Yeah.
I'll make contact with you if that's all right, Paul, to see what your process is, to see what it's done. And maybe we can just like share a screen. I'll do it through a team thing, and we can share a screen and see what you do. And maybe that works to see. Yeah.
Because I had made a mistake and done it through e-scoring on the very first week.
Yep.
But I was very careful to follow the exact same steps you've done there.
Yep.
And then I've gotten a message from my club saying, you've started the game. What are you doing?
Yeah. Yep. Is it you or is it someone else that started the game?
Me.
Yeah,
well,
okay.
I was told it was me.
Could be someone else.
Yeah.
On Saturday, when you logged into e-scoring, did it not let you start scoring?
Well, it did. It let me then download the game and take it over. But I was just sort of getting a rub from my club saying, what are you doing? You're starting the game. And I'm like, well, I'm not.
Yeah. And
so with a few, but come Saturday morning when it's time to score, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I'll just elaborate on that and what Paul has just mentioned. If you do pick your team within the e-scoring option, what it does is it locks out the opposition. They can't actually then go and pick a team. So then it gets a little bit complicated and so on. So when we get to the e-scoring piece, my biggest thing is do not enter your team via the e-scoring program itself, unless it's literally on the day when you start, which I hope we're not doing that. We're picking our teams prior to that, throughout the week before Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. Good stuff, Paul. Thank you. All right, so we've entered our team. We click on scorecard, which is here. And actually, this is where we can then start adding in results from the game. I'm not going to add in because that will actually get a bit dodgy, but ultimately this is where we get to add in what's happened within the game and change results and so on. And we can actually do it for both innings. So I can then click on Kincumber and add in the details for Kincumber as well. All right, so that's the manage part of PlayHQ. So that's for everyone. Everyone needs to, as long as they've been provided access to manage a team, whether it be a captain of a senior grade team, whether and when your club has provided you with manager access to your team, or you're a junior coach, in which you then are provided coach access or management access to your team. All right. Is there any other questions in regards to that space from anyone? I've got a hand up. Oop. Can't see who it is. It's Brendan. Brendan Ward. Hello.
Is he not on mute?
No. Oh, no, his hand's down again. So maybe he doesn't have something to say. That's all right.
You've also got a question in the chat, David.
In the chat?
From Ben.
Oh, yep. What have we got in the chat? That's one thing I don't have listed. What have we got in the chat, Cav?
If the yellow manage button is not appearing, does that mean our club administrator has not given us the correct access?
Correct. 100%. That's correct. So what you've been provided with is just ability to see the game, so you can actually ultimately see what's happening with your game, but you haven't been given access to be able to complete the manager thing. I will say one quick one, and I'll flick back. Let's say I looked back at the game the weekend before, so the weekend just completed. I wanted to make changes to this because it wasn't right. As you can see here, if I click on manage, it will say management access is closed. All right, you have 3 days. So your game finishes on Saturday. You have until Monday night or Tuesday morning, I think it is.
72 hours at the
72
end
hours from when the game starts to complete any changes. If you do not complete changes and there is something that's wrong, you then need to go back to your club secretaries or recorders, whoever manages the PlayHQ space, and they need to ask for access to make those changes. And that goes through to Cav or goes through to Sharon, and they'll provide you with access, 24-hour access into the program or into the scorecard, which you can make the changes that you need to make.
Or just tell us and we'll do it for you.
Or do it that way as well if it's a small change.
Hey Dave, you there? Can you hear me now?
Yep, got you, mate.
There we go. We've had a few situations with our captains who I can guarantee have access, and they're going in well within the time, and they're not seeing that public view / manage yellow option whatsoever. Does that only appear on when you're a home team, away team?
It appears for as long as you've got management access, it appears.
We've
So
had a number of times it definitely hasn't appeared, and the only ways around it has been going through the full access as an admin.
Which shouldn't be happening. It should be you should be gaining access via. They should be gaining access via their login. So if you could take that offline with me and show me who those people are, I'll look at the setup of it, and then I can tell you if it's been set up incorrectly or if there's something else that's missing, or if it's just again a system thing, which will then report through to PlayHQ to fix.
No worries. Thank you.
Well, Dave, you've got the question that was asked, which is exactly the same question, is Ben Shaw from Lizero. So
must be Ben. Same thing for Wardio Dese. So yep, perfect.
There's your example.
Beautiful. All right. All right. Next part. So admins will then also provide those captains, coaches, managers, or anyone else that needs to complete e-scoring with access to e-score itself. So this is purely this slide here is purely for access to give you access to live score itself. If you do not have this, you will not be able to log into the e-scoring platform itself. Okay, so it must be provided to you via this page to be able to then give you access to the system. Whoops. All right, so we're going to go quickly flick over, and I'll just want to jump ahead. Yeah, we're going to quickly flick over now to what e-scoring looks like. All right, so ultimately, this is the perfect world as you start to get used to the new system itself. You've gone through, you've named your team as I've done here with Lizero, you've put your team together, you're now playing on Saturday morning, and you rock up and you got to start now scoring. Okay, so a couple of things. Obviously, the home team has access to live score first. The away team would then use the book itself, preferably the home team scorebook, because if anything goes wrong,
the home team scorebook.
Yeah, if anything goes wrong, the home team still has the book to make anything changes to the scores and so on. All right. If the home team are not comfortable or don't have a device or whatever it is, the away team then has the ability to take on the e-scoring option itself, and that's across all senior and junior codes or games itself. All right, so we're now going to move across into what the e-scoring options are. All right, so there's a couple of ways. You can either save that link. You can also, and sometimes I do this as well, you can go, we've got PlayHQ e-scoring cricket. So literally a basic thing like this, which then you slide down, and then you should be able to find then score.playhq.com. Okay, and we go back to that same page that I was just on before. Slowly comes through. This page here shows you all the sports that do offer for scoring. Obviously, we're Cricket Australia. Only cricket option there. All right. So how e-scoring works is a little bit different to what we used to in my cricket. We actually have to set up a session to be able to then gain access to the game that we want to then score. Okay. So how we rolled through that, as long as we've got access itself. So I'll just quickly show you how to log in. So same for, process. You would then click on the Cricket Australia. It will then ask you to put in your email and passwords, which they're the same email and passwords that were given to you when you registered to eScore. So the admin guys would have given you that information itself. Now, some clubs have got generic ones. Some clubs have given it to the individual itself. So it just depends upon what your club is going to issue. There, I'm already logged in, and away and go. Okay. So first part is you got to ask for the venue. So if I remember right, we're playing at Carrubba, that game itself. So you click on Carrubba. Now, ultimately, there's a whole heap of grounds that are listed there. Carrubba is not one of them. So I click Carrubba. You then click on what days that you're actually going to score. So sometimes you can click all 5, but the best days is what day you're actually going to score, which is Saturday. Add that. Add in a pin. People are asking what the pin's for. Pin's for is actually to confirm results at the end of the game, so that you put an actual generic pin in to confirm results. It could also can be used when you're changing over devices, but I'm yet to see it happen in action. That's one thing I'm yet to really play with yet. Can I really suggest your club will provide you with the pin that you need to use, or make it as easy and generic as you can. So I like to use 1, 2, 3, 4, or you might use 4 zeros. Just make it really, really simple. Okay, so you don't need to make it hard for anyone to, it's not like you're stealing money from a bank or something. Then you start the session. Yep.
A question on that. It's Matt from Weil. With the PIN numbers, we've just had our guys. So we've set it up with just one single email address for all teams to log in and use. Perfect. If 2 teams use the same PIN number, what would happen?
It's fine because it's associated with the session. It's the actual session itself. So I own that session only, and you can use the same logins for everyone else, but they're using a different session. So that PIN number is only associated with that session that you're setting up, and that session that aligns to the ground, the team that's playing at that ground, the day in which you're going to score on, and then you're obviously selecting the team that you're going to score in.
Right. So if I had a first grade and a third grade home game, they use the same login, username, password, and then they both use 1, 2, 3, 4 as the PIN.
Correct.
They're still not going to. It's still not going to fall over.
Correct. 100%.
Okay. Thank you.
So this then shows me what games are actually being played at Carrubba Oval. And there's 3 obviously there, and I would click then. I'm not going to go into it yet. Actually, no, I will go into it. It will ultimately bugger it up for my poor team on Saturday, but that's all right. So this would be on the day that we're doing it. So we're going to gain access into that by just clicking on the team itself. And this is where we get to then edit lineups. So as we spoke about before, we might have a lineup that's wrong. We might have a team that needs to be entered in. So we can edit the lineup up in the top right-hand corner, and we can choose the team that we want to edit. And as you can see, my team is listed, and now I don't have Lincoln playing because he's crook. So then I can push him out, and then I can then press done. You can also put in fill-in players, but can I just say don't use the fill-in player option? You need to be adding in teams correctly. Otherwise, Mr. Kavanagh gets jumped up and goes, what's going on with this fill-in player? Right. So,
but not only that, if it's a competition game, not a non-comp game, it does have, if you put in the fill-in, and even if Liam's out and Bill comes in, Bill doesn't get the game accredited, and therefore he will not qualify for semi-finals if he's close. Fill-ins do not qualify for semi-finals.
Hope that makes sense. And then you then start the process. Then you then go through who's won the toss and then you'll see it roll through from there. Okay, so I'll jump into another page to hopefully show you where you can see this in action itself. All right, just going to exit out of this game. So then the big thing that you got to do around e-scoring, and I'll show you e-scoring itself within the system. Actually, I'll talk about that in a tick. So let me just exit out of this session. So I'm going to end the session. When you end your session, it's going to tell you for your login details again. So make sure you end it properly. All right, let's flick this out of the way. Come back to that in a tick. All right, so we've spoken about the participant portal, a way, as we mentioned, to change, add in your teams, but also change results. We've given you the club access to game day itself. So where we spoke about this stuff, as I mentioned, sometimes there are errors in e-scoring and they're to be fixed. And the best person to do that is your club admin outside that 72 hours that can actually access PlayHQ and complete them. And they can override results and make changes. We've spoken about the setting up of e-scoring. As mentioned, this is what you then look at when you see your e-scoring. This is the part I want to get to. As you can see, it's a very similar setup to the My Cricket one that we used in the last couple of years. You'll see that you press a dot, press the dot, you press ones, you press twos, you can press the no balls and wide options, and then down the side the events come through. All right, so a couple of best practices, and then I'll then flick over to show you where to go to get more information about e-scoring itself. So
can I jump in? Sorry.
Yep.
We use the word events. What's an event?
Yep.
What's an
event? I'm going to flick back to that.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So an event itself is ultimately a ball that occurs. So that could be a run that's been scored. It could be a no ball. Could be adding in an event. So whatever's happened within that delivery is an event itself. So don't be freaked out when you say I'm going to add an event or going to remove an event. That's okay. You're allowed to do that because that's what's ultimately you're adjusting or changing or removing as you go along within the system itself.
I think that's one of the things a few people got hung up on is they've had an issue and they've gone, I'll backtrack and it goes, do you want to delete this event? And they go, oh crap, hang on, tick. I don't want to delete the whole thing, so they stop scoring.
Yeah,
they're only deleting a ball.
That's the ball, correct. Good pick up. So a couple of things, as mentioned, PlayHQ, we still use the score, which is great, plus at least one scorebook. All right, so and they still do this at first class level and WBBL and BBL level as well. So make sure we do that. We should be getting familiar with the edit options. As mentioned, we always select the teams before the game. Don't use your e-scoring option. Select them before the game itself through your management access. Device is always charged, and you have access to power if need be. But the big one that I want to really push on is don't panic. Things can always be fixed at the end. Okay, if you've got errors that have gone along, or even if you have gone halfway through the game and you bundle it up, or we haven't been able to catch up, whatever it is, still finalize the game. Still finalize it, because then that pushes through to the admin portal itself, which then you can come in and override the changes from the scorebook. Right? It just saves you that time around then having to re-enter everything from scratch, but also then the game getting locked out. There's some issues around that as well. Just finalize it, push it through, and then fix it up later. I can't emphasize that enough. Any questions about that? That's good. Easy. So some general issues that are coming up. So type of device has been used. I highly recommend that you use a laptop or an iPad, being an iPad for tablet side of things. Those out there that have Lenovo tablets just do not work. They struggle. The actual tablet itself, so there's been people saying that the program freezes. It's not e-scoring. It's not PlayHQ, it's not e-scoring, it's actual the tablet itself. It can't process the web browser that you're trying to use to e-score with. So Lenovo tablets, unless it's one of your higher $1,000 tablet, whatever it be, will not work. So I really highly do suggest you use a laptop. So I've used my laptop for I think six odd games already, and not once have I had any issues with e-scoring. So yeah, best way to do it is either using laptop or using your iPad. As you go along, check your internet connection. That this is probably a bit of a common one, that if you are hotspotting, sometimes it does fall out. As I mentioned, the e-scoring platform will continue even if you're offline. All right, so you may not even realize that you're offline, and you'll continue scoring. And what will that cause is that obviously then the MyCricket app or even the PlayHQ system behind the scenes won't actually update with live scores itself. So just double check as you go along, especially like at drinks breaks or at a change of innings, that the internet is still connected. Use a PIN number that's generic, as I mentioned, 1, 2, 3, 4, or zeros. Other devices can take over the an e-scoring of an e-scoring game itself. So if you've got a device that loses power, I've done this before as well, where my laptop's gone pretty close to nearly dead. I've flicked over to my iPhone, and away we went. We continue scoring. So you can actually take over a game. That couldn't happen in the MyCricket app. MyCricket live scoring last year. This now can happen. Another question that popped up consistently was changing of game settings. You can't change it. The e-scoring platform cannot change any game settings whatsoever. These are all preset by Cav and myself in the back end. But with that, we only know what we know. So if we've set up something in the back end of a game, in the back end for a fixture or for a game, that's not flowing through. An example of that was our women's grade that we hadn't ticked that balls counted, or balls did not count as wides and no balls or something like that. I didn't set that up correctly. So then I think we got into the second week and it finally got told to us that it was doing it wrong. Please tell us that there's something that's not right. We can then look in the back end and go, okay, yeah, that's not right. We need to fix it. Entering scores manually, cannot update changes. This popped up this week actually. So when you enter in your information into the back end manually, sometimes it won't update the changes correctly. It tells us that then there's a box missing with information. So you got to make sure that you find that box, and that could be on both innings of both teams. You got to find the box that's missing the information that can then help you then complete the scorecards and then be able to save the work that you've done. All right, so before we go to questions, I'm just going to flick over to the area that you would help obtain information, if that makes sense.
This is good. My phone number's not there.
What's that? Your phone number? No.
Not there.
You're not to be there, mate. All right. Actually, crap. Come on. All right. So as I mentioned, this is a demo tutorial which you can use within communitycricket.com.au, and I'll send out the links for you. But ultimately, it's a tutorial to actually use the PlayHQ platform itself. Okay, so I'm going to have a play with how this works. I actually haven't used it before, so we're all going to learn something new with this as we go through. So as mentioned, we log in, and you saw the login process as we did. So we log in, we select our venue, which is going to tell us Cricket Park, which is fine. We select our day. I don't know what day he wants. He wants Saturday. Okay, cool. Thank you. Select our pin, digits. As I mentioned, I didn't mention this one. When you see the blue tick there, that means your session is right. You're ready to go ahead. If you don't get a blue tick, that's telling you that you're not ready to go. Something's wrong. All right, so you must have a blue tick. We've seen this page, then it brings up the teams that are playing. So we can click into the team. We then, as mentioned, can edit our lineups at the top. But we're going to say that team two won the toss, and they're going to bat first. All right. This will then flick down to all the batters. They're not obviously not all showing, but all the batters that are available to bat. He wants Gemma to open and Joe to also open. We'll also reflect the bowlers from the opposition that are available to bowl. We want Matt to bowl first. We start the innings. All right, so that's pretty much how you get in. It's really, really simple. Very, very simple to get through to that process, that start. It's now going to show. So when we're in the system itself, let's say these two batters have gone out and you've selected Gemma as the first batter and then Joe as the second batter. What it's going to show me, I think, is going to switch the batter. Joe's now on strike. He's taken the first ball. So you now need to be able to switch that batter. So you can click on switch, and now Joe's now on strike. All right, so just by clicking on the name, that changes that. Joe scores a 1. So that 1 comes into it. As we mentioned, this is an event. So now event has occurred. That 1 run has now been scored. 1 run to the batter, 1 run to the bowler, and also down the bottom here. Sorry, 1 run to the batter and a ball, and one ball bowled by the bowler, and 1 run added to that as well. Okay. We then, Gemma's gone out with a big hit, and she's hit a 6. As you can see, it's continuing on. Pretty straightforward. Go to 4. To do now. Looks like we've said that we want to have a change of bowler. All right. So obviously maybe Matt's injured himself over getting pumped after a couple of balls. So you may need to change a bowler. So we're going to change to D. Change the bowler.
How did that pop up, Dave? Because that happened to me in round 1 and we could not work out how to do it.
So click on the actual name itself. So if your bowler's changed, you click on the actual physical name.
Yep, thank you.
Then it pops up. All right. Then they've scored a run. Just trying to see what they want. But you realize that that 1 is actually incorrect. So you can actually see this back button, and it's both across the tablets and also laptops. You click that back button, and it takes the event away. Right? So you can use the back button as many times as you want to get rid of all those events as well.
Goes back 5 overs.
Correct. The maximum it can do. If you have an error that pops up that is more than 5 overs ago, unfortunately, you can't fix it. So you just need to take a note of it, write it down, because at the end of the game, when you finalize the game, go back in manually and change it that you need to change. That could be a catch that's been awarded to Joe, but it should have gone to Bob. So just note that down, and then at the end of the game, once it's finalized, then go back in and change it. They want me to put a dot in. And then
yeah, Dave, here's one from Saturday, which was quite interesting.
Yeah.
It was a no ball. They ran, going for the second, they got run out.
Yes.
So I wasn't doing the live scoring. I was on the book. How would you do that?
Good challenging one. Actually, I copped that one in my first game of using the app as well. So you had to get the process right in the MyCricket side of things, but in this new system itself, you just go through the events that have occurred. So the first event was a no ball. So you would click on no ball plus runs. I think there's a no ball. Actually, no, you go wicket. Sorry, wicket first. So the wicket got out. So you press wicket, and then by pressing wicket, then you have a couple of options to choose from, in which then you can allocate a no ball and plus runs, if that makes sense. And then you can then allocate that all to the one player to, flow through from there. Does that make sense? The big thing you got to remember, and I'm still not 100% on the process for those tricky ones, is trial it, make sure the event reflects correctly. If it doesn't do it right, press the back button and trial again.
Yeah.
As I mentioned to you, it can be fixed. Don't stress, it can be fixed. You may even have to just hold the game for just slightly as you try to fix it up, but it can be fixed. But I find by the time you're gone through that process, the scorer next to you is still trying to write it down. So click through that process, and if it doesn't work, press back, try again.
But Dave, you don't need to hold the game up because the book's being live scored.
Correct. That book continues. Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got a 6. And we're saying on review, the ball fell short of the boundary. So we're going to do undo. And we're going to hit a 4.
Oh, sorry, Dave. You just got a really good question. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, go for it.
The stage 2 girls after retiring after 20 balls and then returning.
Yep.
The app is making them retire again at 40 balls.
That would be a setting in the background that we haven't got right. So
yeah. Okay.
We will have a look at that.
Absolutely.
That's excellent.
You know it?
20 to 40. Yeah. I'll have a look at that and see what we've done. So yeah, that's fine. The app's telling us now that Gemma's unwell and we have to retire her innings. So you can click on Gemma. We can say retire not out. And looks like Maddie's coming into bat. And we can retire that batter. Maddie's now into bat. Maddie now makes 2 runs. And this is the end of the over. Now, one big thing you'll find in the My Cricket world, the old world, it reflected the actual scores, okay, the ongoing scores. So you're going to have to adjust slightly around what information they actually reflect on this page itself. All right. Now, there's a couple of things here. And it's going to actually tell me this as well. There's a couple of things here that is good to interesting to read. So you can see this the team score as it flowing through. You can see how many balls have been faced. You can see the batters that are out in and what they've scored. You see the bowlers and what they've done. But down the bottom here, it said that the umpires said that there's a 7th delivery, even though they've counted wrong, which this does happen. All right, the umpire wants to bowl a 7th delivery. We spoke about events. This is where we actually add an event. So we're actually adding a delivery into the system itself. And this is where you have an option of what would it be. So it could be a wicket, could be an extra, could be runs, could be a dot ball. And this one's asking for a dot. We just add the dot. And then now that now reflects what's happened in the over. All right. Once we're happy with that, we then press end over.
So just a quick, sorry, Dave, just a quick update on that last question.
Yep.
There is no way we can. It just stops at 20 balls. So they bat 20, they come back, they bat 20 again. So you'll have to stop it, then bring them back out.
Oh, really?
It's a system limitation. It's not us.
Okay. We'll get that back to PlayHQ because
I'm just looking at settings right now.
Shouldn't stop us. So especially if you got another fella on 35 balls, you could be out there for 70 balls because he's been able to carry his bat. So
it's a system limitation. It's not a setting.
Perfect. All right. In between overs, as you change overs in the My Cricket world, it actually saved the previous bowler. Unfortunately, and this may be an update in the future, but unfortunately, it doesn't save who bowled the last over or the previous over, if that makes sense. So you do need to find the next bowler that's bowling. Just an FYI for that one. Matt's going to have a bowl, but it looks like we've got the wrong person. So we're going to change the bowler to Waru. There we go. So we're going to have a buy, which is, okay, this is where we get to have a bit of fun. So we've got buys.
I'll show you in a minute.
So we can click on buy. How many buys do you have? We're adding 1 buy. That might be 2 buys. We can add in more. And you just press plus and minus. So apply buy. Then they're going to have 2 leg buys. So we add 2 leg buys. This is where we get to add a second one to then 2. We're then going to have a no ball. No balls are over here. Now going to add a no ball and 4 runs. I think it's a little bit different. So we do the dots because it gives you options. And you're going to go no ball plus runs. So you also got options of no ball plus leg by, no ball plus buys, and so on. So we're saying no ball plus runs. We're going to add this to 4 because there's 4 runs. And you'll see that the score then will apply will be 5 runs in total. So it'll be the no ball plus the 4 runs. So it's going to add 5 runs to the total. We're also now going to add a no ball and 2 buys. Again, the dots again. And buys. Leg buy, sorry. And add that in. Now I'm going to add a wide. So plus a wide. We're going to add a wide and 4 runs. So adding wides, and remembering obviously we don't score runs off the wide. There might be a wide ball that's gone for 4. So then all you're doing is adding. Because the wide's already there, you're just adding the 4 that's coming after it. Okay, you don't add 5, otherwise that'll be 6 runs in total. So add 4 plus the wide value is already there. That adds 5 runs to the score as well. Same thing again, we're going to add a wide and 2 runs. Expensive, this person.
Just you, Bum?
I think it is. Here we go. Now we've got a dot. Then we add a dot. But the wicketkeeper missed the ball and has hit their helmet. And we're going to add some penalty runs. All right. So we're going to add penalty runs. It's going to go to team 2 because the team 2 is batting. We're going to add 5. Then Matty scored a run. Over ends early. All right, so this is a good one as well. So the umpires got mixed up with all the balls that have been bowled. This is where the actions come in. So actions have a couple options here. So we can end the over or end the innings. Please don't end the innings, otherwise the game's over. So you can end the over, and we can then go back to this page here. All right, so then giving you the recap that you can talk to the person that's manually scoring. And we're going to edit.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
What happens if like you have a proper umpire and they have miscounted the number of balls and they've added an extra ball in the over? How do you add that in?
Oh, yeah. So if you got to the end of the over, we did that a little bit earlier before. So if you got to the end of the over, down here you'll have scorecard, and underneath it will say add event. So you just add the event within this little page here, and that you can then add in whatever happened with that additional ball. And those
Okay,
who
cool.
are
Thanks.
so those who do a little bit of if you've got your own club umpires, so e.g. A coach or a or it's your women's second grade players are out there haven't umpiring. Normally the scorers yell out and say, hey, you got one more ball left, or no, that was over, and normally everyone just moves on, happy days. But if you've got actual badged official umpires, they don't like scorers yelling at them and telling them they got it wrong. So your best just to follow what the umpire says. Even though they're going to potentially be wrong, you just need to follow what they say. So if they're going to bowl an extra ball, just add it in as per what they say. For this scenario here, we're going to edit the scorecard. So we click on the scorecard, and we can actually go down through and then edit anything that goes on within the scorecard itself. So we're going to go to Joe, and we're going to move a run actually. So we're going to take a run off, and that ultimately takes a run off here. You apply the adjustment. Right. Does that make sense? Hopefully, we're going to end the over now. Any questions with that? And I'll show you this anyway, and you can click through that and have a feel through that tutorial. I won't continue on. There's probably a couple other areas. Actually, you might find if there's a wicket, if that's all right. Here we go. We're caught out. So this is when you click on wicket. We can then now change. This is the part where we can actually change who is actually getting out. So you actually can change that, but we know it's Joe. Joe's caught by Kira. So court. And there we go. This optional part of crossed, FYI, don't ever have to use it now because we don't have crossed batters. Press next. We then ask for the next batter, which is Ben. And we apply. And away we go. We start continuing on. Right. Actually, this one, I'll do this wicket here because this is what I think, I don't remember who the gentleman was that raised it as an option. So Ben has run out when he's trying to come back for a second run. So we're going to go wicket. We're going to go run out. We're going to go, the fielder was D. We're going to add a run. So this is the optional part down here. So mentioned before what we do with the no balls and stuff. This is the part where it was a no ball and run, or it's no ball and buys, they're running. But this here, we're going to add a run. So runs, we say how many runs we're going to have. So it says 1 run. You click next. You ask for the new batter. It's Chris. Apply. Hope that it makes sense. So obviously the first part is the wicket. The wicket has occurred, and then we then add in the options of what occurred within that wicket.
So then you got to switch the batter because it doesn't pick up that Chris is on strike. Matty's on strike.
Yes. Yep. So adjust it. Switch the batter. Now it's stumped. It's wicket time. All these wickets. All right. So if there's any questions around that, you can yell out and scream out to me. If you have anything? Take any other questions as well. Anything that's burdening you, any issues that potentially you've had that you get frustrated with, that you go, why that's happening?
I'll just jump in on one more thing, Dave.
Yep, go for it.
On our My Cricket, when we are on actual Lisra Rimba Cricket Club on My Cricket, our women's third grade team doesn't show up. Any way to see them?
Yeah, that's across some reason. That's every club that has that happen at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an app thing, not communicating with Play Cricket properly. PlayHQ, sorry, properly.
Best thing to do is delete the app and reinstall it.
Okay, no worries. All good, thanks.
Anything else that anyone got?
Dave, it's Greg.
Yeah.
One question is, if you're at the ground and your game has been abandoned without a toss, without anything occurring, I found that you have to have a toss in live scoring and then an abandoned match. Is that the only way to do it?
At the moment that I know of, yes. I've got to find if there's another. Well, there is a second way, and that's through your admin portal itself. So if you are abandoned, you can actually advise your admin guys who manage PlayHQ, and they go in and set that. So what that looks like, bring it up for you.
I'm happy with option 1. I've won the toss a lot this year.
Yeah, fair enough. Oops. So let's say you're Brendan Ward, because you've got access into the system, or even yourself, Greg, if you've got access into the back end system. You go to game day, you go to the game itself. I'm just going to pick a game that's happening up here.
You just abandon his.
Yeah. You're playing what grade?
12.
5. Go to
I should be in 12.
I'm not going to do an update. All right. You can then, where is it? Actually, I think we need to add in the information, don't we?
Yeah. No. Yeah. So you just go in and edit the game and click on go.
You literally click edit here, and then you then have a drop down box on this side. You click down, game abandoned.
You can't do it. It's not game day, Dave.
Correct. It hasn't started yet. So
yeah.
I could probably do it for another game. I don't want to do it from here.
Do it for one that's already completed.
Yeah, so you'd edit game here, and then so once you press edit there, then you can then click over here to whatever you need to do down here.
Yeah.
And that's when you put abandoned in.
No worries, thank you.
Alice has got a question.
Go for it, Alison.
No.
Alice?
Alice? She had a hand up.
I know you're off mute there, Alice. I can see that you're off.
Can see she's talking, but we can't hear anything.
Okay.
No, hang on, she's there. There, she's muted. Yeah, she's muted herself. I can't unmute her, Dave.
Yeah, mine's saying I only can mute her. She's unmuted on here.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
looking
you
at
can,
she's
Alice, if
muted.
you can type your question into the chat. Actually, no, there's another second, Alice. Let's look at this one. I can't unmute her either. Pop it into the chat if you can, Alice. If there's no other questions as we go along, I'll just quickly show you the support piece. So there are a heap of support articles in playhq.com itself that can help you with a lot of information around getting around the system. You can also lodge a ticket with My Cricket Support. We ultimately use a lot of My Cricket Support at the beginning of the season itself. So anything that comes along, you can go through that space. I'm just telling you up front, you're looking at a 3 to 4 week turnaround time at the moment around any kind of support tickets that you put in. So I'd suggest the best way to get access to these guys is via the actual number, 1-800-CRICKET. You can also go through the community cricket page itself, which I went through to find that that tutorial for e-scoring as well, which is a huge help. But you get an understanding of how to click things and work through things as well. Regards to the help desk. Oh, yep, someone had a question.
Sorry, Dave, it's Matt. Just on so it might be able to save us time going through the help desk. One of the common issues that we've experienced is that the teams aren't ending sessions, but in one specific instance, we've had a team not end the session. Over 7 days has elapsed. The PIN number can't be remembered, and therefore the iPad is locked to that game.
Yep.
Is there plans for something? Has feedback been given, or are there plans to give admin rights to let games be ended or sessions be ended in some way, shape, or form in the back end, or is it literally attached to that device and there's just nothing we can do without the support team?
So that's a very technical piece which needs to go through support team.
The other thing, Matty, was that was scored on our laptop by somebody else, by the other opposition, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So that's a totally different scenario altogether. So the opposition took our thing, logged on with their user ID, used their PIN number, logged out, locked it. We still can't do anything with it, and our tablet's actually completely screwed at the moment. So
yeah, right.
So we've tried everything. Something that I think they've added is the forgot PIN. I don't think that was on there a couple of weeks ago, but we might be able to do something there. But yeah, I just wondered if maybe anyone else had that issue where tablets are being locked because sessions can't be ended correctly for whatever reason, whether pins are forgotten or usernames are forgotten, can't remember who logged in, etc., etc.
Yep. No, definitely. It's such a heavy, very technical space. But outside of my scope of works and knowledge, and I haven't seen anything come up to advise us otherwise as well. So apologies, mate.
So all good.
Help desk hours that's the 1-800 cricket option. So you got Monday to Friday. You've also got Saturday 9 till 5, and Sunday coming soon. It's actually I've been advised now they are Sunday 10 till 4. So you got every day of the week that they're available to actually call and if you get stuck on something or you can't enter something into PlayHQ on something or something's gone wrong, they can give you a hand. All right, so quickly recap. So as mentioned, PlayHQ e-scoring is web-based. No app is required. Available on phones, tablets, computers, and online scores go through the MyCricket app. E-scoring access is through a coach or manager scorer link and then specific to certain teams. Consider identifying a club member for escalations, action through admin site. So that might be your club recorder that manages that. If there's anything that goes wrong in the back end, they then will have the ultimate access to be able to change things. Selections and editing, results should be done through playhq.com, and you log into your account to do that. We went through that already. The live scoring is through a different website itself, which is the ca.score.playhq.com. That's it. Last chance for any other questions you may have, but otherwise, hopefully that's been able to give you a bit of guidance around the system itself. As mentioned, and this is a lot of the feedback that we're getting across a lot of areas. There are some instances where the technology set piece has gone a bit wrong. There's a few problems that have popped up. But ultimately, a lot of the issues have been a user error along the way itself. So, but the last thing I can ultimately tell you is do not panic. Please finalize result where you can. Exit out of your session, and that information flows through to PlayHQ in the background, which then you can change things manually. And then on top of that, Gary and myself then have access in the back end to be able to then still do things that we need to if we need to change things and manipulate and get things right if they haven't flowed through properly. So there's a couple of levels of access that we can do things.
Just one last one, sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
And it's probably more so for, it could be both you and Cav, but is there any plans to allow some more leniency in the club championships around live scoring, or is that still a hard and fast as of last week for live scoring to be in by 8 p.m. on a Saturday night?
When
or at least scores.
When you mean club championships, you mean club of the year.
Sorry, club of the year.
Yep. So live. So there's two parts. Live scoring is one, but entering of results by 8 p.m. is a second one. So you get 25 points if you live score. If you don't live score, you get 0. So there's nothing there that changes there. But entering results, there is no change in that. You need to have your results entered in. So you should be getting. So everyone's gonna, if you've got access into management access into your team, or you're the administrator of your club and you've got access into the back end, you should be able to get those results into PlayHQ by 8 p.m.
So say it. Sorry, you go, Cav.
No, Matt, you go.
I was just going to say, if a team has issues with live scoring on the day, and taking into consideration that we are still in like this pilot phase, does that mean that there are going to be some allowances around that 25 points, or not at all?
No.
Any reason why?
Well, what do you mean as having issues? So, e.g., if let's say if they have started live scoring, I don't take the points away from them; they get the points.
Yeah.
So I've seen a couple of games there where they've started the process and they got stuck because they've buggered up. They still get the points.
Okay.
They still receive the points because they're trying. But the teams that just don't do it at all get 0.
Yeah, I don't know all the scenarios, but say there was a technical challenge for whatever reason that's not a user error.
Yep.
What do you do?
So we had one where Warnervale's 4th grade literally gained no access. Even Cav couldn't get access, and we couldn't fix it until the Monday. So points were given back for that. So those things will come along. That if we've come in the back end and gone, this is stuck, we have to untangle it to get to that point. Then yes, we'll work through that. That's fine. But then Warnervale 6th grade didn't do anything, didn't communicate anything, didn't say anything, didn't look at doing anything, but said, hey, something's wrong. At back end, well past any kind of dates. No, sorry, you need to be upfront, telling us upfront. I think Cav, you probably give the best recollection of that. I think Jason Monday told you literally on Saturday night or via an email that we've got issues.
The other one wasn't.
Yeah, we've got issues. We can't get through. We can't anything, and it took me to unlock it and play with it to then push it through to get it right.
And perfect example is our 7th grade last Saturday didn't even bother.
Yep.
So if they don't bother, they don't get any exemptions.
No, correct. and we can both Cav and I can see that in the background. If you can see you've
We
actually
can
had
see
a crack and start doing stuff, and then you got stuck, different story. And we work together to make that work.
Yeah.
But if you literally just do nothing, and just it's just too hard, and you throw it in the too hard basket, no, too bad. You do lose points.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
20.
Beautiful. Thanks, Maddie. Any other questions for anyone?
If anyone's got time to jump on YouTube and have a look, go and have a look at the finish that's coming up for the rush game.
It's still on, is it?
Callum Ranger, 53, not a few seconds ago. 6 for something, chasing 148.
23 off 22 balls.
Wow.
With 4 wickets in hand.
Yeah, it's all happening. I love it.
And I wasn't going to mention a name, so I don't want to jinx him.
He didn't hear me, mate. Don't worry about it.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, I hope you've been able to get something out of it. Obviously, Kevin and myself are around. If you've got something you wanted to take offline and come back to me with, I'm quite happy to help you out with that as well. The aim, and take this into account. Only 3 junior games did not live score last week, and I think we're at about 70% of senior games live scored last week. So we're in a great spot locally. We're doing doing the right things really well, and it's accolades to everyone out there that you're having a crack and you're doing it, which is great. We just want to get everyone on board, and it just makes it easier for everyone as well.
Aaron,
So
where'd you get that senior number from? There's only 2 games that didn't live score last week.
no, it's more than 2 games.
Nah, mate. No, we better go.
I'll list them for you.
Perfect.
Wyong, 7th grade.
That was one of them.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Thank you again for your attendance. And I'm sure we'll get to chat throughout the season itself.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
I was going to say, when you gave out the sample PIN number before, can we get your mother's maiden name and your first pet's name as well?
Straight to my bank account. No worries.
Good on you. I'll talk to you soon, bro.
Cheers. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
See you, mate.
Bye.
I'll talk to you tomorrow, Dave, about the issues we had, if that's fine.
Please. Yeah. We'll have a look at it. Thanks,
All
mate.
good. Sounds good.